You're welcome to I'm Not Repeating Myself podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and I hope you heard what I said the first time because I'm not repeating myself. Welcome. Glad everybody can be with me on this good Monday. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It doesn't cost nothing to like, share, and subscribe. Hope everybody had a great week. Hope everybody stay cool too, cause again, June is here. Shit, we almost into July. We about to come up on 4th of July weekend. It's been a scorch out here, so hope everybody's staying cool, staying active. Hope everybody's doing what they're supposed to do as far as continuing to chase their goals, their dreams, and everything like that. But yeah, man, glad that y'all can be back with me, man. We're gonna go ahead dive into this thing. So we had a pretty much, packed week as far as everything going on. I want to start off with the BET Awards that happened last Sunday. Salute to BET for having another great BET Awards, man. We got to start giving them more props than what we give them as far as delivering a great show, because there was a certain time frame where the BET Awards would get basically shitted on and get a whole bunch of jokes, but they delivered another great show, man, and they've been giving great shows for at least a good 6-7 year stretch. The only show that really don't be up the par is the Hip Hop Awards. The Hip Hop Awards really don't be delivering how it's supposed to, in my opinion. But as far as the annual BET Awards that happens in June, good job. The only thing I didn't like is we had it on a Monday. Y'all knew that, game two of the finals was gonna be on a Sunday. So I don't know why they just don't stay with the Sunday before 4th of July, the last Sunday in June. Hopefully next year y'all go back to that. But other than that, it was a great show. Shout out to Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart did a good job hosting. Shout out to everybody else who was out there getting coverage, like Kai Cenat, Drewski, all of them. It was a great show. The theme was basically like, paying homage to nostalgia. It was a 25th show, so they paid a lot of homage to the older days, to a lot of the older artists. We had a lot of older acts that was performing. Shout out to the 106 Park tribute. That was very, very, very dope. That was very dope. I also saw that Cam Newton is going to be doing something called 106 in Sports. So I'm interested to see what that's going to look like, because I want to know how the setting is going to be, who's going to be hosting alongside him. Pretty much where they're going to take that as far as that direction. But I think BT just sat back this year and said, you know what, we pretty much gonna take it back. We're gonna start paying homage to the older acts, great times that we had in hip hop through these 25 years of the award show. Everybody knows the first award show was, I believe, 2001. Yes, it was 2001. I remember because that's when Jay-Z premiered his H to the Izzo record. Remember that shit like it was yesterday. I was 10 years old. So some of the highlights that came from there, of course, we had, of course, like I said, Kevin Hart, he was the host. He did a great job. We had, who else? We had Leon Thomas won Best New Artist. We also had, what else we had? Mariah Carey performed her new song, Type Dangerous, on the BET Awards. We also had, she also took home the Icon Award winner. So salute to Mariah Carey. And also she said this was her first ever BET Award. So I went back and I looked at the 2005, 2004 time frame, and she legit was nominated, but it was crazy to me that she did not win an award for Emancipation of Mimi, excuse me. That was very wild to me. So when she said that, I'm like, damn, that was her first ever BET award. That's kind of crazy. Y'all dropped the ball back there. But I definitely did not see that coming. As far as the other, let me see what else we had as far as other winners, just to run them down. So we had Best Female Artist went to SZA. Best Male R&B Artist went to Chris Brown. Best Group went to Future and Metro. Do we consider them a group? I don't understand how we could consider Future and Metro as a group, because Metro has done collab albums with Big Sean, Migos, Offset. So I want to know why Metro and Future are listed as a group. Best Collaboration, Luther, of course, with Kendrick Lamar. Says that record has been going crazy since last year. Best Male Hip Hop Artist, Kendrick Lamar, well deserved. Best Female Hip Hop Artist, Doechii, well deserved. Video of the Year, Not Like Us, of course. Video Director of the Year, Dave Free and Kendrick Lamar. Okay. Well, you already know how I feel about music videos today, so I kind of feel like that's a, here nigga day on top of award anyway, because videos they're not treated like how they used to. So we had Best New Artist, Leon Thomas. Album of the Year, GNX. We had Best Gospel, Rain Down on Me, Glorilla featuring Kirk Franklin, Maverick City Music. Best Actress, Cynthia Everett. Best Actor, Denzel Washington. Best Movie, Luther Never Too Much. Young Stars Award, Blue Ivy Carter. Sportswoman of the Year, Angel Reese. Sportsman of the Year, Jalen Hurts. BET Her Award, Heart of a Woman, Summer Walker. Best International Act, Area Star. Best New International Act, TXC. And yeah, those are pretty much all the awards. I said Mariah Carey, she got the Icon Award. So yeah, all these awards pretty much added up to me. I felt like everybody was well deserving. The only one that I kind of thought I kind of felt like Coco Gauff could have got Sportswoman of the Year. I know Angel Reese, she's popular as far as from a cultural standpoint, but I just felt like as far as accolades and accomplishments, that definitely could have went to Coco Gauff. But everything else pretty much adds up. Everybody pretty much was well deserved. You already know I sing Leon Thomas praises. He definitely deserved. And salute to him. He got a tour that's coming up soon. So congratulations to him on that. And I know he's gonna put on a great show. I already know that's gonna go crazy. Yeah, and like I said, everything else pretty much made sense. SZA for best female hip hop artist. I don't really have no gripes with another artist. Kendrick Lamar, Kendrick Lamar pretty much swept everything like how I pretty much predicted. Had another. I think even going into next year because and also salute to Kendrick Lamar for showing up because I know he was in the middle of a tour. Wasn't pretty much sure if he was going to show up or not, but that was real dope to see. But yeah, as far as the awards, everything pretty much added up. It was a great show, and it ran long too. I didn't stay up to watch that whole thing. That shit ran to like 12, 12:30 in the morning on the East Coast. I know they be having it in LA, so y'all gotta kind of be mindful of the niggas on the East, especially on a Monday night, bro. That's why I say y'all need to have that shit on a Sunday. Even on the Sunday, you still gotta be mindful because we gotta get up the next day and still go to work. But hopefully next year they can have it back on the Sunday, man. But salute to everybody. I like the theme they had as far as to get up to. Everybody looked nice and dressed up. You know, everybody had on the tux, nice dresses and everything. Everybody looked good. Everybody looked good. We also had one of the moments that stood out to me was, and this was a conversation between Wale and Kai Cenat. So Kai Cenat, we all know one of the biggest streamers in the world. Kai Cenat was walking out looking like he was in the garage going to his truck. Wale is walking on the other side. Walk up to him. I think Wale had a Nintendo Switch in his hand. Pretty much dap up. Hey, bro, what's up? You know, kept on walking. Hop in the chat. Was like, yeah, I didn't even know who that was. So the chat automatically so like, oh, that's Wale. That's Wale. He starts saying, well, what? Oh, who is that? So of course we all know once Kai's the biggest streamer in the world. So once that gets out, it gets back to Wale. Later on that night, Kai Cenat is having an interview with Snoop Dogg. Wale walks up like, hey, you know that little thing you did earlier, you know, had it kind of me looking crazy, but you know, it's all good though. We'll talk later. You talk later. Kai Cenat basically just sitting there looking like, oh, okay, bro. Like, you know, yeah, we'll chop it up later. Basically not giving a fuck about whatever Wale is talking about, dog. I put it to you like this. Do I feel like there needs to be some type of accountability on Kai's part? A little, but not too much. We all know Kai Cenat, he engulfs himself in the culture and everything like that. I do feel like there is a level of responsibility to know people in the rap game. At the same time, too, Wale is not as prominent as he was back then. Wale's prime was pretty much around, I'll say, '09 to 2013, 14-ish. Kai Cenat probably was around 9, 10 years old. So I'm seeing a lot of people say, hey, when I was 10 years old, I was listening to this. I was listening to that. I knew who this was. True. But my introduction to Kai, and I could be wrong, I thought he was a video game streamer, lifestyle type streamer that kind of transitioned into rap, whatever the case may be. I never knew him to be, how can I say, hip hop media. That's how I put it. Like, and we all know popularity runs the world now. All I can say is I understand both sides. I understand the side that says, hey, Kai, he's been around too long not to know who certain people are. And what I've heard is this is a continuous trend with Kai. This is not the first time that he's done this. This is, you know, he always is not knowing of who certain names of people are, and he should be knowing. I can understand the other side, be like, hey, listen, Kai Cenat, he was 10, 9 years old when Wale, he might not know who that was. This is a new era. They might not know who these guys are. Like, we're getting old. We're getting up there. Wale is 40 now. Kai Cenat's like 20, 21 years old. So I kind of understand. Me personally, I kind of felt like Wale should have left that alone. I don't feel like he should have approached him, especially while he's streaming. The camera's always rolling when you're around Kai. If you have any type of issue with Kai, in my opinion, you need to address him when you know the cameras is not rolling. You know, you pull him off to the side, whatever the case may be. Or if you can't do that due to the fact that the camera is always rolling, then hit that man on the side. Hit him in the DM or something like that, because that continues to paint to the narrative of Wale. Wale always complaining about something. Wale always crying about something. Wale always having an issue with something. And it's just, it's counterproductive to his name. You know what I'm saying? Wale, he has an album that's probably coming out soon. Got a new single that's coming out soon. You know, he was just on Joe Budden's podcast. So it kind of takes away from what we known him for, and that's to be a good rapper, a dope rapper. And I just feel like, we do got to bridge the gap between the younger generation and the older generation. But it's always a proper way to go about it. And I felt like Wale went about that completely wrong. You don't approach him while he's sitting there obviously talking to Snoop Dogg and approach him about a gripe that you had. To me, that doesn't make it didn't make no sense. It just, like I said, it just continues to paint to the narrative with Wale about, this nigga always complaining. This nigga always crying. He complain about something again. And again, like I said, I'm not saying Kai Cenat doesn't have some level of responsibility of knowing who you're supposed to be talking to. Because I honestly felt like he genuinely didn't know who Dog was. He really didn't know. While they don't understand how big his streaming platform is and how much people attention that he get. And if anything, that just added fuel to the fire. Like I said, you approaching him in the middle of the awards while he talking to Snoop. Could have been during the intermission. I don't think it was during like no performance or nothing like that. It might have been a break. But still, the camera is rolling. So for him to come to Kai with that and address him in that manner, it didn't make no sense. I need Wale to kind of be more mindful of it. I know he's been jaded probably with all the different run-ins he had in with the media. We all know, going off on Complex. I remember one time he was at a basketball game in Washington, D.C., he pulled up on the announcer like in the skybox because he addressed him as, I think he addressed him as a local rapper or something like that. He didn't appreciate it or something like that. So Wale just always, and honestly, I'm not saying he's not valid in his feelings. Let me not misplace his feelings or say that he's not supposed to feel no type of way. You are very valid to feel how you're supposed to feel about anything. It's all about how you address it. And I think that could have been a better opportunity to bridge the younger generation with the older generation by having that conversation off camera. Because again, that continues to fuel the fire while they complain about this, he doing this and all that. But I did find that I found it funny, honestly, because it could have been avoidable. Of course, it was nothing like, no war words or nothing like that. Niggas want to fight, niggas want to scramble or anything like that. But again, everybody was just, Wale pressing niggas at the award show, taking away from what he got going on. It was just unnecessary. But ultimately, man, salute to the BT Awards for having a dope show, having another great show. All the performances was dope. And just next year, just make sure y'all please have that shit on a Sunday. Please have it on a Sunday. Please. Go back to the last Sunday in June. That's how we supposed to do that. So transitioning to something else that happened on BET weekend, and I want to discuss this because I found it just so out of pocket. So Jim Jones was having an interview with the Breakfast Club at BET Award weekend, and Ciara takes it upon herself to approach him during his interview and tell him why he needs to marry Chrissy. So let me go ahead and play this. Sorry, because I just really need this to happen. I don't want you to get mad at me because I don't know how you feel, but I really need y'all to just go ahead and I'm coming in hot. Should I just stay on what I'm on right now? Stay on it. Yeah, go ahead. I'm stay on it because why not? Why not? Like y'all have like lived life in every capacity anyone could live it in. You're living like you've already done it. So let's just seal it properly. Seal it properly because you know what? He deserves it. You deserve it. Why not? Like I look at y'all and I'm like, they're so cute and so fly. Chrissy is so beautiful and so dope, and she holds you down, like down, down, down. Like this is a spirit talking through me right now.
I'm just saying, like, I saw you and I got excited because I love what you mean to music and what you meant to me coming up. And also when I see y'all, like, from a love perspective, y'all, like, touch so many people. It's time. It's time. But let me be your flowers. Okay. You was here to give me them words of encouragement and the words of advice. I really mean that. Yay, I appreciate that. That means so much to me. Oh, you think you got good?
Yeah, so that shit was so corny and out of pocket by Sierra, bro. So corny and out of pocket. Who are you to approach him and tell him what he needs to be doing with his woman? Mind your business. You don't know what they've been discussing in their household. You don't know if they could have been having arguments about that. We all know we've seen Jim Jones and Chrissy in the public eye since 2011, 2012. Whatever they doing is what they doing. I know it's a running joke about, oh yeah, Chrissy, he's still, she's still with him after all these years. Obviously, what they're doing is working for them. We don't need to be privy to what the fuck they got going on. And you don't need to be inserting your opinions about what they need to be doing, what they may, especially publicly on air during an interview. Again, it's always about how you approach things. If you felt that strongly about wanting to talk to Jim about that, you should have talked to him about it off camera. Salute to Jim Jones for handling that great. Because me personally, I probably would have had to have a conversation with Ciara. Of course, not on camera. But he handled that well as far as in that setting. But approaching the man while he having this radio interview and discussing his relationship publicly, not knowing if they possibly could have had an argument about it, or you don't even know if they married or not. we You don't know that. So for you to approach him, that was way out of pocket. And I feel like Ciara represents a lot of people when it comes to the marriage talk. And I don't discuss that. I don't do the whole back and forth between relationships between men and women on that. All I'm gonna say is this: everybody need to mind their business. What works for you might not work for somebody else. Point blank, period. There's a lot of people who are married who mind their business. They stay over there. They let their friends, their family members do whatever they do. Then you got the other married couples who feel like they need to be inserting their opinion about why marriage is so important. Marriage is not the end goal for everybody. Some people like to just be together and do their thing. They split up. They had a good time together. Cool. Marriage is not a goal for everybody. So you stepping out of line, in my opinion, when you telling somebody else what you feel like they need to be doing with their relationship. Nobody needs to be telling nobody what they should be doing in their relationship because you're not in their household and you don't know what they got going on. Okay, yeah, Jim Jones and Chrissy, we know them to be together since 2011. Publicly, we don't know if they've been married. Probably ain't gonna get married. Okay, so what? What does that mean? Does that mean that their relationship is still not fruitful for them? Does it mean that they still do not have a healthy relationship between them? Everything don't got to get stamped with marriage. Marriage don't got to validate them too. So I hope going forward, man, a lot of people, whoever listening to this, please just mind your business. Worry about what you got going on with your partner. Because 9 times out of 10, and again, I don't know what Ciara and Russell got going on. You don't know what's going on with the married people who appear to be happy. You just never know. I just felt like that was very weird. It was out of pocket. It just it didn't make sense at all for her to approach him. But again, salute to Jim. Salute to Jim for handling that proper because that was just way out of pocket. To me, I felt like it was disrespectful, in my opinion. It was way out of. She took that whole moment, took it away from him, made it about. But you could tell if you look at Jim's face during that whole interaction, he's kind of just sitting there like basically holding it all together. I do not like when people insert themselves in other people's business as far as their relationship because there's no rules, there's no book that says how you're supposed to be running no relationship. Everybody is doing it based off their well knowing what they're supposed to be doing. And again, what works for this couple might not work for this couple. And you don't need to be inserting your opinions about that. And you wasn't even asked. That's the craziest thing. That's the craziest thing. And you don't know the aftermath about that. Now people going to probably be on Chrissy head again. Oh, yeah, well, come on, bro. Like I said, you don't know prior to that. They probably had an argument about that again. Or, again, you don't even know if they are married. They could be legally married. None of us don't know that. We don't know. At the end of the day, we don't know what's going on, everybody. So that I really didn't like that. And Ciara, man, she just way out of pocket. Way out of pocket. And it just speaks to, again, I understand a lot of the times people feel like that's the right thing to do. The right thing to do. But you also have to look at the other side of the effects that have on people, because we all see the stats. We all know the statistics as far as married couples. So again, man, just play your position, do what you're supposed to do. If you felt that strongly about it, holler at that man off camera. You don't do no shit like that on no public setting. That's way out of pocket. I learned that when I was a kid, not even just talking about relationships, just having issues with people, period. Like, you can be in a public setting and you might have a gripe with somebody, pull them to the side. If you want to talk to them about something, especially if they're having a conversation with somebody, this ain't fuck the interview aspect about it. It's just about them maybe entertaining something else at that time. Pull them to the side, man, and have that conversation. All right, but that's all I got to really say about that. Again, salute the BET Awards for having another dope weekend. I might need to get out there one day, man. Hopefully, I can get out there, do some press, do some media, man. But that'll be a dope experience. But I'll speak that into existence, man. I'll be out there one day. I don't know what year, but I'll be out there one weekend. So I wanted to talk about Dame Dash because some new news had came out as regards to him and his financial situation. So we all know Dame over the last couple of years, he's been fighting this case as regards to owing this director for rights to a name or something like that, to a movie, or using his name on something that he wasn't supposed to. So just recently, this was on the 11th actually. A judge ordered Dame Dash to turn over assets. Damon Dash has been ordered to surrender full ownership of several companies and fill copyrights after failing to pay a court judgment exceeding $823,000. Dame Dash must hand over full ownership of several companies and fill copyrights after a judge ruled Tuesday that the hip hop mogul failed to pay a court ordered $823,284.71 judgment in a lawsuit brought by filmmaker Josh Weber and Muddy Water Pictures. The ruling issued by U.S. Magistrate Judge Robert W. Lieberger compels Dash and his company Popiton LLC to turn over control of Dame Dash Films Inc., Blue Rock LLC, and Black Rock LLC, along with interests in Lebanon Improvements LLC, Ocean East Improvements LLC, and 1996 Songs LLC. Popiton must also forfeit copyrights to several films, including Honor Up, Too Honorable, We Went to China, and Welcome to Black Rock. The assets will be auctioned by the U.S. Marshal within 180 days unless Dash files objections before June 16, 2025. Proceeds will be used to satisfy the unpaid judgment, with any remaining funds returned to Dash. This legal blow follows Dash's earlier forfeiture of his 1/3 stake in Rockefeller Records, which was auctioned off but failed to benefit the plaintiffs due to other outstanding government claims. The lawsuit stems from Dash alleged copyright infringement and defamation against Weber and Muddy Water Pictures. Dash lost the case, was ordered to pay $705,000 in damages plus $117,000 in legal fees and interest. The plaintiffs requested the court seize additional assets after Dash failed to comply with the original judgment. The judge's latest order gives Dash and his legal team 14 days to provide ownership certificates, following an additional 10 days to deliver signed assignments to the U.S. Marshal. Dash's financial troubles have been well documented over the years. He has faced lawsuits over unpaid child supports, tax liens, and previous business ventures. In 2019, he told the judge he was broke and unable to pay court-ordered obligations despite his high-profile past as a co-founder of Rockefeller Records. The legal battle with Weber dates back to the dispute over the film Dear Frank, from which Dash was removed. Weber later accused Dash of attempting to release a film without permission and making defamatory statements about him online, which resulted in another $4 million lawsuit that ended in default judgment against Damon Dash. Dame Dash has been going through a lot, I would say, over the last 10 years. And every time, what I haven't liked from Dame during that duration is he went against everything that he infamously spoke about on the Breakfast Club 10 years ago. His Big interview he had on Breakfast Club 2015, talking about being a boss, not working, all this. And one of the things that he said in there that's kind of used as a meme now, he's like, I don't want to sit around and talk about a man all day. That's for gossip. That's for women. I don't want to sit and talk about a man all day. What Dame has been doing over the last 5-7 years, talking about men all day. There's every time I see Dame over the last 5-7 years, he has been on some type of platform, whether it be his own or somebody else, talking about another man. Talking about what somebody else going on in a defamatory way, not in a good way, not promoting whatever he got going on. It's always talking about because he knows that's gonna garner and gain attention, and it's clickbaity shit. Talking about what he had going on with Jay. Talking about when Jay had the recent lawsuit of allegedly raping a girl, him getting on a platform talking about Jay may have done that. Dog, are you crazy? Then when all of this happens, people are saying that I seen Ray Daniels talking about how he want to hold Jay accountable for not looking out for Dame financially. Number one, Dame is a grown ass man. That's number one. Jay is not obligated to do anything. Now, me personally, if we have history together and I know that you're going through financial troubles, I am more than happy to help you. But there's lines that cannot be crossed. And one of those lines is you basically fueling a rumor about me that's also a lawsuit of me R-wording a woman. No, sir. You don't get no handouts from me. You don't get no assistance from me. None of that. And I know Dame, he's kind of been fickle when it came to that whole Rockefeller and Jay-Z situation. Because I remember some years back, he was talking about he just won his friendship again. Then you go back to shitting on the man. So it's, which one is it? And Dame, great businessman. Great businessman when he first started out. He started out Rockefeller young, 24, 25 years old, killing it, doing great deals, did clothing, did all of that. But I feel like Dame's biggest issue was dipping his hat into so many different things and it not unfolding. I felt like for him to be such a great businessman early in his career, some of that should have traveled with him when he dove into other business ventures. Because one of the biggest things that he spoke about in that interview was, I can't work for no other man. Telling another man, calling another man a boss, that men don't do that. Well, that tells me you're not really a great businessman because the number one consumers is the working class people. And you should know that. So you shitting on the working class knowing they're the number one consumers, telling them that, oh, just because they have a boss, that make them, they not a man. So that was kind of like the first pillar because I really started to see that downfall kind of around that 2016, 2017. Business dealings failing, all this bunch of stuff. All because he's so prideful. And I've always said this, Harlem niggas got this kind of persona that, they just, Harlem niggas, they just stand on a different type of, how can I put it? It's kind of like, they had this sense of, us against the world type thing. Like very, very high ego driven. You know what I'm saying? Their ego cannot be checked, can't be like, they don't get no handouts, nothing. No, not in Harlem. Like he said not in Harlem. Niggas Harlem don't do that. We don't do that. And I think Dame's pride and ego has long-term affected him. And I want to see Dame do better. He's you can't tell a story of hip-hop without Dame Dash, period. You cannot tell a story of hip-hop without Dame Dash. But also there's this other side. And I feel like for him, and I remember when he got on a live and he said it verbatim. He said the reason why I'm having money issues is because I invested in my dreams. Well, there had to be some missteps in them dreams because you just can't be funneling all your money in all these different things and nothing coming. Like you got to have some type of, something to fall back on. There's nothing wrong with having a job. Nothing wrong with having a job. I said this the other day. Keep your job while you're chasing your dreams. Because stability is the number one thing to have out here, especially in this economy. And that was one of the biggest missteps in that interview I felt last year. Telling somebody they shouldn't be working a 9 to 5. Like, what? What are you talking about? Everybody don't have the funds to just head dive into their dreams. You need to be still working. And I hope Dame bounces back from this. But a lot of it is the way he talked about people, how he shitted on people, how he, pretty much didn't give a fuck about what nobody else had going on and publicly addressing certain things. All of that matters. You burning bridges in relationships, because I felt like had Dame addressed certain things in a better light, there would be people lined up, especially where he's at, to help him and support him. Because he also talked about that too as well. It's like all these people I helped, all this other. I remember Cameron talked about it last year on It Is What It Is, when he was like, "Yo, bro, you threw my name in that, but I always give Dame props for him helping me out." But I remember Cameron said, Cameron said in that show, Dame talked about, "Yeah, I went to Kanye house and he got a horse, you got a dog," something crazy like that. He cleaned up horse shit, you clean up dog shit, and Cam was like, "All right." He's like, "Yeah, Kanye, such and such house is this 1,000 square feet. You got a smaller house." So what Cam was saying is that Dame spent money on extravagant shit that he didn't need to be spending his money on. And that could kind of play into why he's in the financial situation that he's in. But I never want to see our hip hop moguls go out like this. I never do, but there also needs to be some accountability, because I see a lot of times, I'm not saying people can't feel for Dame. I would never say that, because I don't even want to kick Dame while he's down. But to act like as if he doesn't have no accountability in this is disingenuous. It's very disingenuous. Dame has a lot of accountability in how he talk to people, how he handle people. There's nothing wrong with having gripes with situations and having gripes with people. It's all about, and I said this earlier, this is going to probably be a theme of this show. It's all about how you handle it. We would love to see Rockefeller together in 2025. It didn't work out that way. Some things start together, you transition, you do other things. But the comments that you make, that's going to matter long term. People are not going to forget that. You telling the working class people, "Oh, another man will call another man a boss." Like, come on, bro. And these are the same people that you want to come out and watch your movies. Support your movies. Support your business that you may have going on. But you shitting on the number one consumers, which is the working class people. Yet you call yourself a boss. Everybody's not built to be a boss. If everybody's a boss, who's really working? If everybody's a boss, who's really working? You can't have a whole bunch of bosses running around. You ain't got no workers. If anything, knowing your place in this ecosystem makes you more of a man. There's nothing wrong with taking orders from somebody else. That means you understand discipline. You understand structure and how things are supposed to be run. Everybody can't be doing one thing. This is why I always, just to talk about The Wire real quick, that's why I always appreciated the character of Slim Charles. Because Slim Charles always played his position. I remember in season 4 when Marlo knocked off Prop Joe and he was looking for a new head of a corner or something like that, something along them lines. And he looked at Slim Charles like, "Yo, Slim," was like, "Hey, no disrespect, I wasn't meant to play the CEO." Slim Charles was a hitter. He was somebody who, he designated certain blocks, told niggas what they were supposed to do at a certain level. But he never wanted to run anything. He knew his position. There's nothing wrong with that. That made Slim more of a man, in my opinion, than most of them characters on there, because he always played a position. He never stepped out of bounds, and he knew how to take orders. Excuse me. Same thing applies here. You can't be running out here trying to be a boss, yet you shitting on people who are working, who you also need to support your business. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. I would hope to see a day where Dame is in a better financial place. Because I remember he was on live and he was talking about, he said, "Man, it's like I owe like $8 million in taxes." And when he was talking about it, he said, "I gotta sell this." When he was talking about selling his 1/3 stake in Rockefeller, when he was talking about, "Yo, I gotta sell it for, this amount because I gotta pay the $8 million off, so I gotta sell it for this amount to have." I knew Dame didn't ever want to sell that 1/3 stake in Rockefeller, because he held on it for so long. He held that close to him. He was never gonna give that up. So for him to have to sell that and then not sell for the much because he owed all this money, it's just sad to see, honestly. And I always wondered how, you mean to tell me as Dame Dash, you don't have nobody in the industry that can reach back out and help you, as big as your name is, as much impact as you had in this game, to me, that's telling. I could be wrong, but that's very telling. Because at the end of the day, I pride myself in not burning bridges with people. Your relationships carry you a long way. The money don't matter. It's all about the relationships. Your relationships with people are paramount. You always want to make sure you're in good graces with people. I'm not saying kiss nobody ass. I would never say that. But how you treat people, people will always remember how you treat them. People will always remember how you treat them. Fuck the money transactions. Fuck the business dealings we had. Fuck we did this together. We did this great thing together. And this is why I talked about this last week with Pusha T and Kanye. It don't matter how many great songs we did together, dog. We can never work together. And that's why I said I'm not mad at Pusha T for handling Kanye how he handled him in that interview. But some of the same things could be applied here with Dame. Because there's no way you could be one of the biggest hip-hop moguls of all time and you're having the issues that you're having. Everybody just couldn't just been like, fuck Dame. Like, no, bro, there needs to be some accountability there. And we seen it play out publicly. Again, how you talk about people, how you address people. All of that matters. All of that matters. It's always, I think people will have to understand, I know for a fact, any issues I might have with a friend or an associate, it'll never happen publicly. We're going to have a conversation offline about that. And we're never handling no issues online. Because if you handle something online, that can kill a friendship. Because you're getting everybody in your business and you're painting a narrative about somebody and everybody don't know what's going on. But because you may be the popular one or the other person might be the popular one to the public eye, it can paint a narrative. And that could be dangerous to somebody's reputation. And that can also affect somebody's pockets. That can also affect somebody's pockets and whatever dealings that they got going on. So you have to be mindful of that, dog. So hopefully, I want to see Dame be great because he's in a position now where he's 50. Dame is like 54, 55 years old. He should be chilling. He should be chilling, cruising on the back end of his life. He shouldn't be going through stuff like this. So I just say that to say, man, I don't wish bad on Dame. I want to see him do better, but a lot of his downfall is some of his fault. It is. It is. And I never would want to be on a platform with Dame where he's talking down on people. Nah, bro, we gotta end this interview. You've done enough of that. And I gotta put a lot of that on the people that he sit down with too. All that shitting on other people. Nah, bro, we cutting that. We not doing that. We done it. We seen enough of that over the last 10, 15 years. We got to get to a better place in media where, and as a matter of fact, I seen this on Bag Fuel the other day too, where Saigon was on there talking about Joe Budden and his son. Esso and Heineken are 100% wrong for even allowing that to come out. Why are we doing this? This is not 2009 when you and Joe was beefing. And then on top of that, you talking about you want to fight him. His son is this. Come on, it's goofy shit. We need to get to a better place in media, black media, where we're not tearing down each other publicly, bro. If you got an issue with a nigga, man, handle that shit offline, bro. Handle that shit online. And you, as a media platform, should not be putting that type of content out. But you know what niggas care about? They care about going viral. They care about a moment. They care about messy shit. Stop putting out content that's tearing down each other, bro. We seen enough of that shit through history. Then when shit hit the fan and motherfuckers going to colliding, everybody want to have something to say. Don't have nothing to say because you was fueling that. Stop putting out content that's tearing down each other. If you got an issue with a nigga, handle that shit like a man offline. And stop putting that shit out for clicks and trying to get everybody engaged in that shit. It's bullshit and it's counterproductive. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all, bro. Just need to knock it the fuck off. So that's done on that. Again, I want to see Dame be better, man. Hopefully he could come out better in this some years down the line. Just get back to a position where, he get back to his great business practices that he had early on in his career. That's really all I got to say about that. So, Cardi B. Cardi B had some interesting, I'm not going to say interesting because it was one tweet. She had a tweet the other day that said she's going to go live about Atlantic around 3, 4 o'clock. And basically what that talked about was, I guess, her gripes with, her album possibly not coming out. And let me see exactly what see exactly what that was. Because I know I had it bookmarked. So let me pull this up. So she said, I'm going live about Atlantic at 3 o'clock. Somebody said, oh dear, what happened? Oh my God. I'm being tried by these new people and I'm not doing nothing no more. So somebody posted a screenshot and said this in the tweet. Atlantic no longer thinks she's a priority and she's upset because people who originally signed her and considered her to be a priority to Atlantic are no longer with the label. It's even worse than I thought. I hope she can break free. Let me say this. I have no remorse for Cardi B and her label situation. None at all. None. All of it's her fault. It's 100% her fault. All of it's her fault. And the reason why is for years, your last album came out 2018. In between time, we known the fans and the label to push you to, hey, what's up with the music? Let's get the music out. You pop up, you do features here and there. It's not enough. Now here we are, damn near 8 years later, and now the people who are no longer probably at Atlantic, or even if they was still there, you're having issues with the label because they might not like your music and not making a priority. That's your fault. You waited all these years. It is no longer 2018. You have a huge following. And also the other side of this is too, she could have been putting out music on her own. No label is stopping you from putting out music in 2025. It's not happening. So there's a combination of things. You thought you was bigger than the program, and you scared to put out music. That's just the reality of the situation. And I've always said, Cardi is a great businesswoman, but when it came to music, she really didn't give a fuck about music. And it's showing. So now why should the label still look at you as a priority? Why? It doesn't make sense. Your last album was 2018. We're supposed to treat you the same like how it was 2018. No. Bodak Yellow and all that was 8 years ago. And now you're coming to us with this album. And what I think happened was they wasn't feeling it. I really think that's just all it was. She wasn't feeling it. This should be a lesson to a lot of artists, bro. You're never bigger than the program. You got to be consistent. At the end of the day, they're a record label for a reason. You don't get to put out an album and then come back 7 years later and expect to still have that same cachet. It don't work like that. And it will never work like that. You got to remain consistent. I would never say you got to drop an album every single year, but you haven't put out not one project, not one EP, nothing since 2018. And you expect Atlantic to still make you in a priority all because you're a big cultural figure? No. Where's the work behind that? Because everybody want to say now, oh yeah, she giving Stephon Diggs a name, making him a big name. People posting her follower account on Instagram, his following account. Okay, well use that to your advantage. Put music out to your fans. No label is stopping you from putting out new music, especially post 2020. I could take it back even probably 2015. You could put out singles yourself, but you didn't want to because you didn't care about music. So now you expect the label to still care about you. No. She did this to herself. And there needs to be 100% accountability on her end. Don't be mad. Don't get mad at the label. Don't get mad at the label. It's not their fault. And even if the same people were there who made her a priority, they wouldn't be inclined to make her a priority years down the line either. They've been telling her to put out music. I know this to be a thing. We've seen it. They've been waiting for her to put out, like, there's no reason why Cardi should not have had an album out probably around 2020, 2021 after her first album. That's about 2-3 years after Invasion of Privacy. Gorilla done put out more music than her. Sexy Red, that should not have that shouldn't be going on. And they just came out within the last 2-3 years and they already let you in projects, Meg. If you don't like them, if you don't love music for real, that's fine. But don't dress it up as if they owe you something. They don't owe you anything. You are the artist. You're supposed to be putting out music. Again, you don't get to put out an album, then come 8 years later, coming to us talking about, oh yeah, well, no. We're a record label. This is not a, social media label, influencer label. No. We're here to put out records. And she ain't been putting out no records. So I was amazed that she would even put that tweet out. But ego. And like I said, Cardi, she does great things outside of music business-wise, doing great shit. She has made, I would assume to be generational money for a family. Great shit. But when it comes to this music shit, drop the ball. 100% drop the ball. And she can't blame nobody but herself. All of this is her fault. And she continues to. I remember this being a thing probably a few years ago. Oh, the label doing this. The label is not doing anything, bruh. Enough of that. Label this, label that. They playing with this, they playing with that. Bro, you're not putting out the music. You're not. You might put out a little snippet there just to put your music out and see what it does. You could put out a track by yourself. You don't want to because you're scared of putting music out. And the label probably heard the album and was like, no, we're not doing this. Sorry. It is what it is. Like, enough is enough. You can't have this sense of entitlement as artists when you're not holding up your end of the bargain. Atlantic doesn't owe you anything. If anything, you owe them. So now I think what she needs to do is do whatever she needs to do to get out her record label situation and just become an independent artist. If you want to put out music. If you don't want to put out music, that's fine. But don't dress it up as if people are holding you back. Nobody's holding you back, Cardi. You're choosing to do this. This is a choice. And you're capable of putting out good music. But there has to be some level of accountability. There has to be. Don't blame Atlantic for playing games. You've been the only one playing games these last 7 years. You don't even want to put no music out. And you said on several occasions, I'm done with music. I ain't doing this. I ain't doing that. And you even said your fans was ungrateful. What type of shit is that to tell your fans when you only gave them one album in 8 years? Ungrateful for what? You're not putting anything out. You hop on a feature. Okay, that's cool. Where's your music? So that's all I got to really say about that, man. So, if that situation gets fixed, it gets fixed. If not, hey, it is what it is. So Complex dropped another list of top 50 disses of all time. I'm not gonna go through all 50, but I'm gonna start from 20 and count down. I'll do that. So coming in at 20, we had Drake with Family Matters. We had Gucci Mane with Truth. We have Eminem with The Sauce, Nail in the Coffin. Future and Metro featuring Kendrick, not Like That. Boogie Down Productions. Let me see. Hold on, because this thing is messing up. South Bronx. 15 MC Light, 10% Diss. 14 Tupac Against All Odds. Number 13 LL Cool J, To the Break of Dawn. Number 12 Common, The Bitch in You. 11 50 Cent, Back Down. Number 10 Cannabis, Second Round Knockout. Number 9 Dr. Dre featuring Snoop Dogg, Dre Day. Number 8 Drake, Back to Back. Number 7 Pusha T, Story of Adidon. Number 6 Ice Cube, No Vaseline. Number 5 Boogie Down Productions, The Bridge is Over. Number 4 Nas, Ether. Number 3 Jay-Z, Takeover. Number 2 Tupac, Hit 'Em Up. Number 1 Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us. I'm not really mad at the top 5. I don't have Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us as the best diss of all time. My personal top would be Tupac, Hit 'Em Up, Jay-Z, Takeover. Me personally, I got Mace's The Oracle up there. That's a very underrated diss that don't really get a lot of props, but he was going crazy on that. Number 4, I would have Back Down. Put Your Hands Up by Beanie Siegel. And number 5, I would have Exodus 23:1 by Pusha. Story of Adidon, I have right behind it because of the impact that it had as well. Some notables, so they had Put Your Hands Up, Beanie Siegel at 43. Jadakiss, Fuck Beanie Siegel Freestyle 42. T.I. 99 Problems, Lil Flip Ain't One. I'm surprised What Up What's Happening is not on here. They didn't have I Know You Strapped by Pimp C on here. 50 Cent Piggy Bank came in at 50. Pusha T's Exodus 23:1 was at 48. That's kind of crazy. Jay-Z Super Ugly came in at 30. Cameron Dear Saying came in at 33. Roxanne Shante Have a Nice Day, that came in at 34. Rick Ross featuring Drake and French Montana, Stay Scheming. Here's my thing about I wouldn't consider Stay Scheming and Like That a diss record. If you have a feature on a diss, if you have a feature on a song you diss somebody, I don't consider that a diss record. Those shouldn't be ranked as diss records. I don't understand how Like That and Stay Scheming are diss records. I wouldn't, if y'all qualify those as diss records, Okay, cool. But me personally, I wouldn't qualify like that and stay scheming as diss records. I don't see how you can rank those. If you're featuring on a record and you diss somebody, I don't consider that a diss because that's the case. Put Ti Stomp on there. You get what I'm saying? When Ludacris is on there, I wouldn't consider those this. But what's happening definitely should be on this list. I know you strapped by Pimp C should be on this list. Yeah, Complex. I can't get with that. There's two in the top five. Of course, in Ether, you got to put Ether up there. I'm not a fan of Ether, but you got to put Ether up there due to the impact. But in the top five, they got Takeover and Hit 'Em Up, so I'm not even mad at that. But Not Like Us, I wouldn't have Not Like Us as a top five, or definitely not number one diss record of all time. I probably have it in the top 10. Back to Back, I don't really feel should be up there too, but I understand why it's up there because Back to Back was impactful. Me personally, I got Family Matters over Back to Back. That's just me personally. But Back to Back did have so much impact. You know, it was a lot of memes behind that record. It was played in the clubs and all that. So I understand why it was that high. Tupac Against All Odds, I would put in my top 10. I would move that one up a little bit higher. You had Kendrick Lamar's Euphoria came in at 23. I would probably put Euphoria higher than that. I probably put Euphoria and Family Matters in the top 15. Honestly, I'm definitely putting Beanie Siegel. Put your hands up, top 10. That record, it was just that's the only person to really just body Jadakiss when you look over the span of rap history. Y'all know how he give it up on the mic. So yeah, I'm definitely putting that up there. But the top five, like I said, I need Boogie Down Productions, The Bridge Is Over, Nas, Ether at 4, Jay-Z, Takeover at 3, Tupac Hit 'Em Up 2, Kendrick Lamar 1. Yeah. And then 10, Cannabis, second round knockout. Number 9, Dre Day. Number 8, Back to Back. Number 7, Story of Adidon. 6, Novak. I would put Story of Adidon over Not Like Us, to be honest. I would. Just off of the rapping and, you know, the big bomb that it was. That should be top. If honestly, that should be. Like I said, I like Exodus 23 one more than Story of Adidon, but if we talking about impact, yeah, I think you gotta put that. You gotta put that in the top 5. So salute to them on that for actually compiling. I'm glad they actually did 50 because you know it would be hard to rank 50 disses. They definitely would do some inserting and taking out. Because again, I don't see how Like That and Stay Schema. I wouldn't qualify those as diss records. So I want to talk about these protests that's going on in LA. We all know that ICE is doing sweeps in LA. And man, honestly, after the latest news, looks like we might be heading to some type of war. I mean, this world is crazy, man. But I've seen a lot of conversation amongst black people as regards to, you know, should they be protesting, standing, with, immigrants as far as ICE. Excuse me. All I'm gonna say is this. I can't sit up here and act like I'm in tune 100% of what's going on or that I would care. I would be telling a lie. At the same time, too, I don't want to see nobody stripped away from their families, handled any type of way as well. But I do want to have this conversation as regards to black people, and because this always comes up about, black people standing, in solidarity with, other people of color as far as, the discrimination and everything that's going on. Let me say this. I'm not, at the end of the day, I'm not telling nobody what they should be doing. If you want to stand in line and support those, 100% do that. If there are conversations with people saying that black people should be doing that, no, sir. Because we all know when it comes to racism, it just don't start and end with white people. Black people have had acts of racism, against us from other groups of people, Asians, Hispanics, all different walks of life. We know that to be true. So I honestly feel like us as a people, we don't really need to be involved in what's going on as far as that. We don't. I do feel like there is a certain type of way you should be handling people if you do want to get illegals out of here. I'm not saying you should be beating them. I would never say that you should just be taking a young kid and stripping them away from their family in that type of manner. None of that. Well, when it comes to, all of that and what's going on, I don't feel like we should be getting involved in that deeply because for number one, it has essentially nothing to do with us unless you are over here as an illegal black person. And for number two, we all know when it comes to when we have certain things coming on, nobody's really running to our aid. Those are just the facts. People can say different. People could say, "Oh, nobody asks black people." Okay, cool. I'm just speaking about based off of what I seen on the timeline and the conversation I seen on social media. Again, if you want to be out there and standing in solidarity with those, cool, 100%. I would never tell you not to do that. But we also need to be realistic as well in terms of when we're facing injustices and we're facing racism. A lot of times, a lot of people are not lining up to support us, bro, and that's just the reality. Again, how they're handling it, I do have an issue with because I don't believe in just taking people away, especially if they are supposed to be over here. Because a lot of times we do know when they doing these sweeps, they just be snatching people up just because they look a certain color. That's wrong as hell. That's wrong. If you do have some people who are over here illegally, there is a proper way to do about that. I feel like the tanks is unnecessary. You having guns, pulling guns out on people, that's unnecessary. There's a proper way to do things. People are over here illegally and they need to go back to their country. It does. I feel like you shouldn't have to do that with force. When you start pulling out force, now you're trying to send a message, and that message is not. It's inhumane in my opinion. You shouldn't have to be taking people and dragging them and forcing them with guns and with tanks to get back to. No, bro. Like you should be able to just pull them to the side or have a conversation. Be like, hey, we need to go to this office, so we need to discuss your legal status. All this going and you got people who throwing rocks at tanks and all that does is make them want to come out and handle you all type of way. It doesn't have to be handled in that type of manner. And at the end of the day, everything needs to be handled in a proper fashion. I've seen the governor of California and Trump, they going back and forth with all that's how all that's being handled, you know, all the protests that are going on. Hopefully, I just hope people are safe at the end of the day. But all this could be handled in a way better form. But at the end of the day, that goes back to Trump being in office. A lot of people, especially on the Hispanic, and I know the numbers. I know the numbers. A lot of Hispanics, especially the males, voted for that man. A lot of, I want to say 55, 60% of Hispanic males voted for Trump. So a lot of this has to do with him because we all know how Trump feels about illegal immigrants. And he's not gonna go about handling it in a nice way. Again, the theme, my theme of the show, it's all about how you handle certain shit. So I know there was a recent thing of the Trump administration deportation campaign is reportedly shifting its focus away from raids on the agriculture and hospitality sectors after Donald Trump conceded this week that his immigration policies are hurting the farming and hotel industries. Yeah, yeah. Again, that's not something you should just at the drop of a dime be like, "Hey, oh yes, you're in, oh get no 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 no." It's all a proper way about how you're supposed to be handling things. So two things can be true. Yes, I do feel like for you not to care about something doesn't mean that you're heartless. You could just simply not care. When we see black people protesting, there could be other groups of people be like, damn, I hope those, they're not harmed or anything like that. But they're well within their rights to necessarily not compare or relate to that. That's a reality. And a lot of people need to be honest about that. A lot of people need to be honest about that. So hopefully, again, because I don't want to see nobody stripped away from their families or handled in the type of way. I just hope that these raids are handled better ultimately. That's all I really care about. I'm not trying to see nobody get hurt, nobody get killed, none of that. So I want to say I got a couple of RPs. I gotta give I want to give an RP to Sly Stone, the funk music pioneer. He passed away I think last week on Tuesday. I want to say RP to him. Definitely a pioneer in black music period, but more specifically funk music. He passed away at 82 years old. Want to give my condolences to him and his family. I actually watched his documentary on Hulu, so if you ever have a chance, please go watch that. Check that out. It's a very, very good documentary. Like again, a pioneer in funk music. It basically covers all of that. It's a very, very good doc. I want to say it's Sly and the Family on Hulu. I think that's the title of the documentary. So if you have a chance to check that out, please go check that out. And also, Want to say RIP to Ananda Lewis. She was an American broadcast journalist, human rights activist, two-time NAACP Image Award recipient. She went to Howard University. We all known her to be on BET and MTV during the late 90s, covering a lot of shows, including BET's Teen Summit, MTV's True Life. She also did, I want to say she was on TRL a couple of times. She definitely was a host on TRL. And like I said, she just hosted a lot. She was on the Insider. She had a couple of appearances on on the Ricky Lake Show, on Jerry Springer, all that. She passed away, I want to say on the 11th from breast cancer. So I want to say RP to Ananda Lewis. Definitely a staple in hip hop, black media. Great journalist. Like again, she was a social activist. She did great things, man. And her sister actually put that out a couple of days ago. So I want to say RP to Ananda Lewis. Definitely, she's definitely one of the staples in hip hop media. Definitely somebody that you can, if you want to look up to, if you're looking to get in the media, definitely you can follow in her footsteps as far as the steps that she took and everything. So again, RP to her and her family. Condolences to her family. Excuse me. And that definitely shocked me the other day because I didn't even know that she was going through that. Honestly, I didn't know that. NBA Finals. NBA Finals game 4. So the series is officially tied 2-2. The series is officially tied 2-2. It looked like this shit gonna go 7, man. I had the Pacers taking this shit in 6. But I don't know, man. Thunder looked like they caught they caught their stride, man. I don't know, man. You can't really tell, man, with everything that's going on, man. SGA, shout out to SGA. He had a great fourth quarter. I think he had 15 points in that fourth quarter because it was down like 8 going into the fourth or 15 going into the fourth, something like that. Shea had 35, 10 for 10 from the free throw line, 12 for 24 from the field. Great game. Great comeback. And again, I said last week, SGA had to play a better game, and he did that. He 100% stepped up, had a great fourth quarter because it was looking dark. And game 4s are always the pivotal games where you get in control or you shift the momentum back to your side. Because the Pacers, being that this was a home game, they 100% need to take this game to go 3-1 and take control of the series, especially being that they're not the favorites. On the other side, you got OKC. Excuse me. You got OKC, who 100% is the favorites, was looking to, establish dominance, but they wasn't. Pacers on their ass. But this is definitely this will go down as one of the greatest performances in finals history as far as this game form for SGA. SGA had 15 points in the fourth quarter, stepped up tremendously, and basically swung momentum back to the side. And now you're going back to game 5. Hey, a lot of people are saying the series is over the Pacers. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say it's over because this is the NBA. At the end of the day, you don't know what can happen. You don't know what's going on. But it's looking like we in for a great game 5 and great game 6. I'll say that. I'm not saying it's over. It's basically 0-0 now. So the first 2 wins, hey, they taking home the chip. They are taking home because if they would have went down 3-1, I think Indiana could have went to OKC and took this shit in 5. I think that's just how much confidence and how much momentum they had they went a 3-1. But we back at 2-2 now. So we're going to see what happens at OKC. I still think the Pacers are capable of winning the game 5. At this point, it's pretty much a toss-up. I don't think you could really just swing to one side and say who's going to take this series. Because it's been, they took the first game. OKC, they came back, blew them out. Come back game 3, Pacers, they win that. Come back game 4, they win that. So it's been back and forth the whole series. So you never know who's really going to take this series. You just don't know. Of course, you got the fan sides of it, HGA fans, OKC, whatever the case may be, but you got to go out there and handle your business. So we'll see next week. Definitely who will be the champ because, actually it's not because, again, the schedule, I got to talk about this too. So the schedule to me just never made sense. And this thing of starting the finals on Thursday has been a thing since I want to say 05, and I hate it. You shouldn't start the NBA finals on a Thursday then have game 2 on Sunday. That doesn't make sense. Then you turn around, you have game 3 on Wednesday, game 4 Friday. You don't have game 5 again until Monday. Game 6 will be on Thursday, and then game 7 again. So between game 4 and 7 is a week. Game 5 is on Monday. Game 7 is on Sunday. That is a week between game 5 and game 7. That's just it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And they need to change that shit, man. They need to have more games in between time. God damn, bro. You don't need 2 days in between game 5 games and game 6. 2 days rest in between both those games. That doesn't make any sense. They need to start the NBA Finals on a Friday. That's how the NBA Finals should be going on. NBA Finals should be starting on a Friday. Had game 5 on Friday, game 2 Sunday, game 3 on Tuesday. If you want to have a 2-day rest, game 4 on Friday, game 5 Sunday, game 6 Tuesday, and then have the game 7. If the game 7, have it on a Friday night, on a Saturday, bro. This shit is whack. This shit is whack. I never liked it, but it is what it is at this point. But that's pretty much where we're at with it as far as that. No other news as far as that. I did see Michael Beasley off the heels of last week of him and Lance Stevenson having that one-on-one. Him calling out Carmelo Anthony. I'm going to go ahead and say this. I think Carmelo Anthony washes Michael Beasley in a one-on-one, bro. Washes him. I would love to see it. I don't think Carmelo Anthony will do it, though. I just don't see Melo doing that, man. I don't see that going down. Melo is chilling. He's doing this thing on his podcast. Great podcast, by the way. Salute to Melo and all y'all up there. But Michael Beasley probably need to just stay around those guys who playing in the big 3, because I don't see Melo coming out of retirement to do no one-on-one. And Melo did say that, kind of looked like he was scared, because Melo said, bro, I never lost a one-on-one. And then he basically said everything but saying, no, I ain't going to play you, bro. So if you don't want to play him, just say no, bro. You didn't have to give us a whole essay about why you don't want to play Michael Beasley, bro. That's all I got to really say about that. So that's pretty much all I got to say, man. That's pretty much all I got for this week. Again, I want to say RIP to Sly Stone, pioneering funk music, and again, RIP to Ananda Lewis for being a hip hop media journalist. Did great things in hip hop, especially for BET, MTV, all that. So again, RIP to her. Condolences to her family. And that's pretty much all I got for y'all this week, man. Again, please like, share, and subscribe to this video. It don't cost nothing to like, share, and subscribe to this video. Doesn't cost nothing to tell somebody about it. Again, hope everybody have a great, safe week. Stay cool out here. Continue to chase your dreams, chase your goals, stay disciplined. Don't let the little things get to you. Continue to strive to be the best version of yourselves. We 6 months into this year. We got 6 months left. So you never know what's going to happen when you continue to put in work. You just never know. Just continue to put in the work, and you never know what's going to happen on the other side. And most of the times, you will be rewarded for your hard work. So again, man, thank you for tuning in and listening to I'm Not Repeating Myself podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and I hope you heard what I said the first time, because I'm not repeating myself. I'm out.